Welcome back to the D2C Slingshot podcast. I'm your host, Lockie Thompson, and I'm also the founder of Social Slingshot, a paid advertising agency. This podcast is your go-to resource for entrepreneurs seeking insights from industry leaders and experts. If you have magically stumbled across this podcast, then I'm truly grateful that you've chosen to listen. If you have any specific questions or topics you'd like us to cover, then don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at Lockie Social Slingshot. While this podcast is tailored to the broader e-commerce community, if you are ever in need of direct marketing assistance, then Social Slingshot is here to help. Our mission is to drive as much success for as many e-commerce brands as possible by being the most results-driven and client-focused agency on the market. Now, with all that boring admin stuff taken care of, let's jump into today's episode. G'day everybody, welcome back to the D2C Slingshot podcast. Today we're joined with the CEO of Duncan and Stone Paper Co., a stationery company that provides timeless design and effortless journaling. With a background in working with top retailers and a journey from startup to $4 million in annual revenue, get ready to hear insights on entrepreneurship, family business dynamics, and scaling success. So Garrett, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks so much for having me on. Excited to be here.
No worries. So let's just get started. Let's get to know you a bit more. How did you get to where you are today?
Man, I wish I could tell you I grew up dreaming of running a journal company, but honestly, I did not. And so, most of my career before Duncan and Stone was spent working with Walmart and Sam's Club here in the States. And so I live in a little place called Northwest Arkansas here in the U.S. and home of Walmart Inc., company a lot of people have heard of. And so I spent most of my career working with Walmart and Sam's Club in some sort of capacity. So, helping brands get into Walmart or grow their business at Walmart, things like that. And so, man, I just came fascinated with the whole retail journey and branding and sales and fill in the blank with all of those things. And also at the same time was around other people who were starting their own businesses as well. And so kind of got that bug and was like, let's figure out a way, for us, my wife and I, to start our own business. And we can get into the origin story of Duncan and Stone in more details, obviously. But, we launched our business in 2020 and have been doing that for the past 4+ years, man, slinging journals now.
Yeah, for sure. And how did that conversation come about? I'm assuming it was your wife who come up with the idea of selling the journals, or was it you?
It was. I wish I could take the credit for it. My wife's name's Stephanie. Stephanie and I had always, we started to develop this desire, this little bug, this, dream of starting our own business and things like that. So we're having those conversations for a real long time. And, around 2019, Stephanie and one of her good friends, Sarah, were dreaming about childhood books, and they're raising young kids together and things like that. And just looking at the types of products out there in the space, in the keepsake space. And they're like, gosh, there's got to be something different. And dude, what happened is they just started dreaming of some product ideas. And I mean, we're talking sketching stuff on the side of, the sidewalk with little kiddos riding around and just going, what if we could look like this? And so one thing led to the other. And Stephanie and Sarah were like, I think there's something here. Let's pursue this and see what's out there. And at the same time, I'm like, no, wait on me, guys. Like, I want to be involved in this. And so, as we started thinking about the business, it just kind of made sense for us to come together to do that. And so we started the business officially in 2019, myself and Stephanie, and then Sarah and her husband, as the 4 owners of our business. And so they're really the genius behind Duncan and Stone Paper Company for sure. But I inserted myself early on and was like, hey guys, don't leave me behind.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up being CEO, if you're saying that there's 3 other co-founders are really the brains behind the business.
Well, that's a great question, man. And so when we launched, thinking back to 2019, I had a full-time job. I was working, in the corporate space up here, and, it was a side hustle for me. We all entered into the business together as, joint owners of Duncan and Stone. And, like a lot of people I'm sure you've had on your podcast or, as you're starting a business from your house, it's all hands on deck sort of stuff. Right. And so as we were starting the business, we were all pitching in, doing whatever it took, so everyone was just pulling their own weight and figuring out how to do stuff. And so we were all involved early on and have been from the beginning. But as the business began to grow, over the years, 2020 into 21, a couple things started to happen. One, it was like I was beginning to get more and more involved in our business as it was growing. And at the same time, Stephanie and Sarah had kiddos at the house. They are looking at this like, I don't want to run this business as the, CEO of Duncan and Stone. Who's going to do that? And I kind of stepped in and just kind of raised my hand. Like, I mean, I guess I will, I suppose, so, it made a lot of sense for me to step in and do that. And, I had more of the business background as far as in that space in the business community. So, man, it just kind of made sense for us to give me that title of CEO, which for a startup company basically means you do anything like, and so I have my hands in a lot of different stuff for sure.
Yeah, so awesome. So talking about making sense, a lot of people would look at how you guys started. That most people would avoid starting a business with their partner. A lot of people do, but obviously you've started it with your partner, but then another couple as well. So you just want to walk me through some of like the massive wins that you've had together, obviously, but then also some of the drawbacks of maybe having too many voices involved at once.
Oh, totally. And I think that's one of the things that we've seen play out in our business that has lended us the way that our team is wired. Specifically personality wise has helped us out, since we started. But thinking back to 2019, I tell you, for us, it was like, we wanted to make sure this was the right thing. Even if you have a good idea, it's like, are we going to really formalize this into an actual business and something that we're going to run? We're investing money, we're investing all this stuff. Like, does this make sense? And man, I tell you, we spent a lot of time just processing through what is that going to look like? What is our vision for this? What is our roles for this? Who's going to do what? Like, really hashing all those things out, because what we didn't want to do is, you have two married, couples coming into a business together, and they're some of our best friends, and we're, our kids are growing up together and they live close to us. And it was just one of those things that our lives were already so intertwined that we didn't want to ruin a friendship and we didn't want to ruin a marriage and things like that. So we were really diligent early on to like try to level set and try to get as much as we could on the table before we made the decision to go into business together. And then after we decided like, yes, let's do that, we were just really like pretty black and white with it. Like the way we set up our corporation, the way we set up our ownership and the bylaw, like all of the legal formal things, we wanted to make sure we're in place. And we got feedback from other business owners like, hey, you got to get it in place because, you need to have that security and everyone needs to be clear on what's going on. Now, when I left my full-time job to run the business in 2021. And so January of 2021 is when I stepped in as the CEO or whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't call myself a CEO at that time. It was just, I was the first full-time employee, right? Well, what we really had to spend a lot of time during that year was figuring out who was doing what. Like, okay, Garrett, this is your primary role. This is like what you're going to focus on. Stephanie, this is what you're going to focus on. Sarah, you're going to focus on this. And just trying to define those lanes so that to your question, you're talking about 4 owners and 4 voices at the table. Like that is potential recipe for disaster. Right. But man, I tell you, we've tried to define clearly like roles and lanes. And then we're just, when we talk about big decisions or we talk about products or investments or financials, like we're making sure everyone's on the same page. We're trying to get space for each other to share and things like that, just so it's not like one person like, hey, Garrett said that we need to do this, and I guess we do it, and he's out being a crazy person making decisions for our business that we don't align on. We're like, no, let's make sure we're clear on communication and all those pieces. But man, I tell you, it's funny you bring that up, because I don't know if it for sure doesn't make sense for, a lot of people to go into business with their spouse or best friends. You know what I mean? You got to know yourself. Like, what is going to make sense for me to do? And then kind of make the decision based on how you are wired.
Yeah, for sure. Me and my best mate are definitely not on the same page. So we're always talking business and stuff like that, and we have completely different opinions on how things should be done. So yeah, that's pretty funny. And yeah, I definitely want to do it. But you've been extremely successful. You've gone from bootstrapped, and now this year you're on a $4 million annual run rate. So tell me a little bit about that story, or some key decisions or strategies that you've introduced into the business to help accelerate that growth.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, man, it's crazy that we've are at the point we are, even 4 or 5 years into it. I think that we're all super thankful and grateful for the way the business has grown. And I think it's one of those things that when we started, I'm just backtracking to 2020 when we launched and into 2021. By the time I left my job to come do the business, be on Duncan Stone full time, we thought the business was going good. It was like, at the time, it was needed for somebody to work on it. And we were doing, call it, 500,000-600,000 a year or whatever it was at the time, something like that, which was great. Like our first year of business, like, man, that's really good. We're seeing revenue, we're seeing growth. Well, when I stepped in, it was like, once I began to focus my energy on the business and we're working on it as a team together, there were clear gaps that we saw. We began to see in our business, specifically around like expertise within the e-commerce space. So for our business, we had a vision for products. We had a vision for creating, keepsake journals and the brand itself. Nobody on our team was like, hey, I'm an expert in optimization or SEO or paid ads in Google and Meta. And so as I started looking at our business, and I'm specifically Amazon. So when we launched our business on Amazon in the US, and that's still our biggest channel, I was the one working on our Amazon business. And it was like, I'm getting other people to like start looking at it and doing audits, and they're like, whoa, man, like there's a lot of stuff that is not good. And rightly so. Like, we didn't know what we were doing. And so, man, we just started getting really intentional with like what we needed on the business. And so we found somebody that was an expert on Amazon PPC, or Amazon optimization and support. Like, that was one big piece. And then we started doing email marketing, in 2021, like, oh, that's cool. I guess e-commerce brands are supposed to do email marketing and build your list. And so it's like, the more that time I spent on our business, the more I'm like, wow, there's big gaps that we have on Duncan and Stone. Like, we're not going to be able to scale as an e-commerce brand unless we find people to step in and own these pieces. And so, man, that's the way that we've really tried to scale our business and grow, is find the experts that actually do know what the heck they're doing, and then just have them do that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of brands start with the product and they're really good with a product. But me being a marketer myself, like, as you said, like, I would order a Facebook ad account, for example, and I'll be like, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like, everything's like, you can just tell they have no clue what they're doing, which is fine. But a lot of business owners out there will have an awesome product, but they have no idea how to actually move the stock that they have. And marketing's sort of one of those last things that you need to get sorted. You need to get your product right first, because that makes everything else easier.
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
So with Amazon, obviously it's an extremely competitive marketplace. How did you sort of get your breakthrough wins on that platform? And you said it's the biggest revenue driver at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, man. I tell you, Amazon has been a great partner of ours from day one, man. And so, when we were getting set up, I was given the feedback to like make sure you're a registered brand on Amazon and make have that space so you can do the right content and this sponsored ads and all the different kind of resources that they allow you to do as a registered brand. And at the time, I didn't really know what that even meant. It's like, okay, I guess we'll do that. So I think what it allowed, I remember specifically, and it was probably 2021 or 22, somebody from Amazon reached out to us and was like, hey, we want to highlight Duncan and Stone as part of like the small women, like highlight the women business. We're a majority owned women business. Stephanie and Sarah own the majority of the business and are the face of Duncan and Stone. And so, they reached out and they were like, we want to highlight you and kind of do an article with you and highlight you on the, Women Appreciation Month and all this stuff. And we were like, oh, heck yeah, that's awesome. And so I think that because we had done the front end work of like making sure our listings were really nice and making sure the branding was good and doing all the like blocking and tackling of the brand, the presence, our reviews were really good. Like everything was in place. And now what we've seen over the last, call it 2 years, is there's different opportunities that have come up specifically with Amazon where we're getting highlighted on certain things, or they're giving us different types of access that's really helped our brand grow on the U.S. marketplace, which is phenomenal, man. I mean, it's been super helpful for us. For a small business, it's a big deal. Like, hey, we want you to be a part of this thing. We're like, heck yeah, we want to be a part of that. That's great, man. Whatever exposure we can get is phenomenal, because there's a lot of, I think one of the challenges in the e-commerce space, especially on Amazon, and probably more than others, is just knockoffs, or there's a Chinese company selling like, crap products or whatever it may be. We deal with that a lot. And, it's one of those things that we wanted to make sure that it's like, we're a family, small run, or family owned, like startup business, and a legitimate brand in that space. Like trying to get all those things in place has been really fun. And then they've been a great partner, man, just for like different PR types of things. It's been great.
Yeah. So with us in Australia, or I'm just speaking from experience here, a lot of the brands that are selling through Amazon complain about the fees and that sort of thing. And while in the beginning it's really good, they realize pretty quickly that they should be driving more sales through their own e-commerce store. Is that something that you're experiencing as well, trying to get more sales through the e-commerce store rather than focusing on Amazon?
Man, it's been a transition for us for sure, and something we do discuss internally quite a bit. And I think that we have made a switch over the last couple of years and gotten more intentional with trying to drive more traffic to our website and things like that. I think one thing we have done is, we'll have inserts in each of our products, to connect us on social media, or with your next order, we'll try to get that next order through our website and just things like that. But the way that at least the way I've looked at it, for right or wrong, is it's almost like Amazon in some way is like our kind of our customer acquisition cost of sorts. It's like, it is pretty high. The fees are high in a lot of ways. And it's probably one of our lower, we sell on a couple different channels, but it's definitely our lower profit channel. But we're getting so much access and the traffic and, the audience that we're able to capture. I'm like, it's worth it for us to be able to get exposure that way and drive, brand presence there. And then hopefully the next order that they do is through our website, but man, I think that it is a challenge. I think there's a balance there as an e-commerce brand to like figure out what makes sense for them. And for a couple years ago, like I really got stressed out about it. Was like, our Amazon business it's too big. Like, it's risky. Like we're over leveraged there. Like we're not making any money, like whatever. And I was really freaking out about it. But then I talked to other brand owners and they're like, man, listen, if you're growing, if you're driving revenue and you're still profitable, like why does it matter if they buy for your website or Walmart.com or, whatever? Like it was kind of like they kind of were like, dude, what's the big deal?
You're making
as long as you're
sales
selling
a lot
product,
of businesses.
why does it matter? And I was like, that's a great point. I actually get that point. So I'm not as stressed as I probably once was, but we're spending more time on other channels like marketing channels to drive more traffic through our website, just at large.
Yeah. I was speaking with a watchbox company and they sell a lot in the US and it's primarily Amazon. One of the big problems they were facing is Amazon have their customer data, right? You don't actually get the data back from them. So what are do you have any sneaky strategies to get people over onto your email list, or is that a real challenge that you guys are facing as well?
That is the biggest problem for us is like, we don't have that customer list and engagement that we have on our website or even through Etsy, where we also have a big channel on Etsy as well. Man, I think there's been some people out there that have talked about them. I don't really have any good feedback for your listeners or different tools that we've used. I would be open to know about what they are if there are. And I think that it's one of those things that I've always been just hesitant or cognizant of like, I didn't ever want to do anything that was going to be shady or like Amazon was going to look down on us. And so I've just kind of been like, hey, we ask for reviews. We try to engage the customer in whatever way they allow us to. But outside of that, we kind of just let it be, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. So you made something statement before, like in your packages and that, are you able to put in like a QR code to go follow your socials or sign up to an email list and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do that. We have a QR code. We have give them a discount code if they want to just go directly to our store. But yeah, like we're trying to, if they buy it from wherever they buy it, like, hey, we'd love to share your story or post about us on Instagram or TikTok or whatever you're on. Like we're trying to get more of that kind of customer engagement. And so, yeah, all of our products do have an insert in them for them to find out more about our brand and things like that. So,
that's one of the biggest downfalls, I reckon, of Amazon is not owning that customer list. Because, as you said before, like email marketing is definitely something every brand should be doing.
Yes.
So, have you started diving into that a bit more? Have you been focusing on other platforms like Meta and Google or even Pinterest?
Man, we've been really diligent the last probably year and a half with growing our email. Again, on marketing and engagement. So like our email list, our SMS list has been another area that we focus on, and just having a whole kind of holistic approach to that customer. And once they come into once they buy something from Dunkin' and Stone, specifically the segmentation, that's one thing that we were not good at prior to like maybe 6 months ago even, was like, hey, we sell a lot of different stuff on our store. So if someone comes to buy a baby book, maybe they don't want to know about a reading journal. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's start being more intentional with the way we segment our customer and give them content or give them new items or give them details that is going to be like more relevant for them. And so, yeah, we've invested a lot into like our flows and our campaigns that we're doing and all sorts of things like that. And so we definitely don't have a brand that's like, we're pinging people every day or every week for that matter, regarding email, but we're trying to stay relevant and give great content, give, relevant discounts or holiday things, as much as we can, and just keeping it fun, keep talking about the brand, talking about different products we're launching and things like that.
Yeah, awesome. So you just touched on holiday, and that sort of leads into my next question. A lot of brands will hopefully have already started planning. A lot will leave it to the last minute as well. So you said last year that December was your biggest month to date. Just want to tell me a little bit about those key strategies, or whether you just rode the wave of everyone making sales during that period.
Yeah, man, we're trying to get better and better at it, dude. I think that the real good brands out there, what is it, May 20th when we're talking here, like they're probably buttoned up for like Q4 right now, like the big ones are, I would assume, or at least starting to plan on it. We're not that planned out, I will have you know. But we're trying to get better and better at it, honestly. Like last year we met, the way we did it last year was like we started brainstorming and looking back at our best sellers and what kind of promotions did well and all that sort of stuff in 2022, and then we plan more accordingly for 2023. And so, for us, we were planning in July, June and July last year for the holidays, and just getting creative, man. Just spending some time to think through like what sort of fun. I think last year we did like a 12 days of Christmas sort of like promotional thing, and we were highlighting different products and just kind of making it engaging, making it fun, looking at what didn't do good the year before, and then starting to make plans for it, and then starting to build out like, okay, what assets do we need for that? What kind of pictures do we need for that? Do we need like getting as far out as we can in front of it, and then just letting it roll, man. I think that like any brand owner is like probably looking back like, oh shoot, I wish I would have done that or done this. But we're trying to keep our customers engaged. We're trying to be prepared from an inventory standpoint. Like, that's a big one for a product company, is like, we got to have the products in stock and ready to go for the holidays. And so we're prepping inventory and things like that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I don't think anybody has the answer for, is anticipating how many sales they're going to make. It's always too little or way too much, which can ruin a business. So
yes, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
better to go a little bit conservative with that sort of stuff. But to make the real big money, you've got to take that risk, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man.
Yeah. So during December, what were some of like your main marketing channels?
During what? Say that again, man.
During December and November, what were some of your main marketing channels? Like,
it was email. Actually, we see our email marketing perform really well during that season. And then just, we do ads on Google and Meta and things like that. And just the, our ROAS, like our impact for ads is really strong during those times, honestly, just because we're getting really tight on Christmas gift for mom type of stuff. Like we sell a lot of Christmas gifts for parents or grandparents or things like that. And so, it's just one of those things that we're trying to, as people are coming, looking for unique gifts for parents or whatever it may be, we're trying to set ourselves up in a way. It's like, we have what you need. Like don't look any further. Like this is a very meaningful, thoughtful gift, for your spouse or for whatever. But man, email marketing crushes it during December. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. And I might have to jump on your website and have a look at whether you've got any engagement journals or anything like that. Because I got engaged a couple of weeks ago, so I had a quick look. But yeah, we'll have to have a look at that, and maybe I'll do some journaling into lead up to the wedding, and I'll just give that.
Get one for your girl. Get one for your girl, dude.
Yeah. She doesn't watch this podcast, so we can safely talk about it. I just saw her drive out for work. She's a teacher, so she'll have absolutely no idea. That's way too deep into the podcast, even if she didn't watch a clip.
Hilarious. That's funny.
So cool. What else is on for the rest of the year? What are some of the other things that you're working on before we wrap this podcast up?
Yeah, man. I think that, the other one big piece that we're looking into is expanding into a couple new channels. And so one of them is in the UK. So we're kind of taking a step into like an international expansion. I say that lightly, like basically Amazon is a great partner and they reached out for us to expand in the UK. And so we're looking at that. We're dipping our toe into kind of some retail, big box retail, opportunities in 2024 for us as an e-commerce brand. Like we've been really not necessarily hesitant, but just, we've been so focused on growing our brand online. We haven't really spent much time looking at, some of those sorts of things. But man, we're trying to pursue some new channels and just make sure our business is running efficiently. Like what's hilarious is we still do all our customer service in-house. Like wouldn't advise it, honestly, probably wouldn't advise it for an e-commerce brand, but for whatever reason, that's one piece that we haven't offloaded. And me and another co-founder are handling all that. And I'm like, probably doesn't make sense for us to be doing that. So I'm talking, you know. And so I'm like,
I'm just like, that's like,
you're like, what are you doing, Garrett? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
So, we're like, customer service has got to get off our plate. Some of these other things that we're like spending too much time working on, we're not planning for the future. We're not being more strategic. We're taking care of customer messages and things like that. That should stop. So, like we're in that season of a business to really like go, hey, let's keep growing in a healthy way. But what would it look like to get to $10 million in a couple years or beyond? Like, what would it look like for us to get there? And just having those sorts of conversations.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely need to get rid of the customer service. That takes up so much time. Even for me, like I don't have a product focused company, right? I have a service based company. So but I'll be deep in thought and then a Slack message will come through and that will distract me for 15 minutes. And I didn't really need to answer it because it can just sit there until the end of the day or whatever. But
so silly, man.
It's like, it just distracts you throughout your day whenever that email comes through. So
totally,
you need to get rid of that for sure.
We're trying to get better, man. We're trying to grow up a little bit this year.
Yeah. So, let's wrap this podcast up. It was great having you on. Just before you jump off, you just want to quickly give a shout out to your business where people can interact with it and even get in touch with you.
I love it, man. Go check us out on our website, duncanandstone.com. You can find me on LinkedIn if your listeners want to hit me up on LinkedIn. I post most of my life on LinkedIn because that's my co-founders won't let me post on our social media for our brand because they don't, rightly so.
Not aesthetic.
Exactly. And so I like to post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and kind of post our journey out there. But you can find me on LinkedIn or through our website. You can get a hold of me there. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Of course, man. Thanks so much for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Hey, D2C Slingshot listeners. Unfortunately, today's episode has come to an end. If you did make it this far, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed the episode, so make sure to smash the like, follow, or even subscribe button. Any feedback or engagement really does help us grow. Now, if you do have any questions or insights that you would like to share, then message me on Instagram at LockieSocialSlingshot. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.